So today I have Prem with me. Prempal is actually, he heads our Docker and Kubernetes business from solution architecting and deployment point of view. And I'm going to talk to him and understand a little more, get more insights about Kubernetes for all our viewers. Today there is a fantastic news, or interesting news I would say, where IBM completed its acquisition of Red Hat. And I remember I had talked about it some time back, what it means to the world, and especially what it means to the world of Kubernetes, what it means to the hybrid cloud. And one of these writers in New York Times, he described that why this is important for IBM, because IBM, he says IBM wants to be positioned as a Switzerland of cloud service providers.
So maybe Sachin, can you explain more what you mean by Switzerland of cloud service provider?
Yeah, I mean, this interesting part, the way IBM wants to see itself, because what has happened in the cloud business, IBM is absolutely number 4 right now. And you have AWS, Microsoft, Google and IBM somewhere there. How do you overcome this competition? That was a big problem IBM was trying to address. At the same time, we saw Red Hat had the technology through its OpenShift and Kubernetes, but they didn't have a cloud offering on its own. So they came together. It was good for, but again, to become another cloud provider is, I'm not sure there is a space enough for even 4th or 5th if you include Alibaba as a provider. This is one challenge I saw. The second thing I see that is happening is, has those customers also have moved on cloud in last few years, now they are experiencing those walls that I cannot move out of AWS to Azure, I cannot move out of Azure to Google Cloud. Those kind of things are coming up, and I think IBM sensed that opportunity, that what if we create a way of allowing these customers to move across the clouds. And that is where the importance of Kubernetes has come, and that is where they saw that access to that technology through Red Hat is the key to their success. And that is why I say that Kubernetes has become the keyword than even the cloud. How do you see our customers are looking at Kubernetes? Because there has been a lot of talks of cloud in our region, Southeast Asia and India, but now Kubernetes has become a buzzword. How are you seeing, what kind of discussions are you having with the customers?
Yeah, so it's definitely an interesting things that are happening around today, because people are moving up from virtualization now today to microservices with the adoption of Docker and containerization. Kubernetes has become an important part of this whole total piece. So basically, Kubernetes is an open source orchestration platform which helps you to manage and deploy a container at a massive scale. So there are huge adoption of Kubernetes today. Not so much at this current stage, it's not so much under production, but a lot of developers starting to develop products or services or applications and using Kubernetes to deploy these applications.
So, hold on, what I'm going to point out, what you said just now, you use Kubernetes more number of times than containers, right? And I thought for the benefit of our viewers, wanted to give them a sense that how containers and Kubernetes go together and why you use Kubernetes more times than containers.
Yeah, definitely containers is just a flat, Docker has bringing containerization into the picture with and dissociating your operating system and application. So it's pretty much a platform for you to deploy your container, to run your container in the exact word, it's a container runtime. But other than that, there's much more to running a container and managing them, scaling them. Maybe when your containers die, you need to start up a new container. Wouldn't it be great if a system can do that instead of doing a manual work? So definitely Kubernetes and the containerization, in terms of containerization aspect, it's much more use cases that today we are looking at that people are using Kubernetes.
So you mean to say, yes, containerization is an important part of the work, but actually managing those containers Kubernetes is coming in picture and allowing you to scale out your containers, manage and operate them at a scale?
Yeah, that's exactly what Kubernetes is meant to do, and it's helped you in the daily operation, managing your application, deploying them from one instance, maybe you scale up to 10 instance, 20 instance. That's exactly what Kubernetes can help you to do. And the password of automation, that's very key thing.
That is interesting. So that's the importance of Kubernetes in the enterprise architecture that IBM or every company has realized.
Yes.
Correct?
Right.
And if I connect the dots based on what you are saying, that means this platform, if I am using Kubernetes as a platform, I would be able to interoperate, take my containers from anywhere. For example, from my VMs to my cloud, from one cloud to another. And I would just need Kubernetes as a platform, as a layer between my containers and the underlying operating system.
So Kubernetes will not be a platform, it's more of orchestrating your containers across various platforms. It could be in the cloud or on-prem on private cloud, or you can have hybrid. So you're moving out your workload from on-prem to the cloud, you can use Kubernetes for that as well to deploy. Either you want to deploy it internally or externally out of your...
So that brings me to another question. Kubernetes as an open source platform is available, or open source tools available to everyone. So how does that make Docker any special over and above, let's say, Red Hat? Red Hat's OpenShift. So yeah. How does it give any advantage to either OpenShift or to Docker?
So there's a few aspects that we can look into that. First thing is Kubernetes as a service is provided, like what you mentioned, by Red Hat, Google, AWS and stuff like that. But the key thing of this application is actually, which we don't equate them, is actually the developers who are going to develop this application. You see today, none of them provide I would say, platform which is certified by Kubernetes to do development. Other than today what Docker does, it actually provides you a platform to develop your application. And that same application is, I would say, is a production grade or production ready application which you can deploy without any changes to your production. So that's something that Docker today have successfully created, and equate the picture with the developers in hand, in their mind as well, when they design this total solution from development to production. Other than that, if you also look at services offered by AWS and Google, once you subscribe to the services, and you tend to lock yourself down. Unlike Docker, they have freedom of choice, whether they want to do it on cloud or on premise. You just have to install Docker and run your container on Docker. And Docker provides the support for either Swarm or Kubernetes. That's another option that you have in terms of orchestration.
So I was about to come to that, but basically what you are saying is it's a tool in the hands of developers, right, whereby they don't have to worry about if it runs on my machine, whether it will run on the cloud or not. Right. So now the same run in the environment will run anywhere. That's a peace of mind that they have.
That's right.
So what we used to call in the old days is, it runs on my machine, but I don't care whether it runs there or not. So there is another cycle that one used to have to go. Now no more.
No, because we have standardized Kubernetes, and Docker has standardized the way how you develop your application, deploy them in production. It's the same platform that's provided on both ends, from end to end.
So that is about Docker providing this over other Kubernetes providers. But what about, many times I hear from customers that, hey, I don't have to worry about this issue because I'm going to use Kubernetes as a service on a Google service, Google Kubernetes service, or Azure Kubernetes service, or AWS Kubernetes service. So in that kind of scenario, where do you think Docker will still play a role, or customers will have to think about Docker?
I think the key thing is actually what's happen if something to go wrong with my Kubernetes on Google or AWS. Where are you going to get a support from, if other than the open source community? So that's something Docker has put in their mind as well. When you are running into something in production, you want to have a peaceful, you wouldn't want to think a lot about what if things go wrong? Where do I look for support? I think this is something that Docker has provided. Package it as a solution and provide it to the customer that even you run in Kubernetes, Docker still supports them. You can also look out to Docker when things go wrong. I think that's a very key point. That's something that Docker has provided the customer peace of mind running your application in production, whether it's on Kubernetes or Swarm.
Interesting. I hope you are not saying it just because you are in charge of Docker business. I hope this is a real benefit to the developers.
Definitely, I believe this is something that Docker has actually kept in mind when bundling Kubernetes together as part of Docker Enterprise solution.
I just read your blog that you are writing about desktop Docker Enterprise.
Docker Desktop Enterprise.
I really got excited with that. Can you tell something more and why you think that it's a great tool for developers?
So like I said earlier, Docker has actually put developer into the equation because they are the key people, key personnel who actually develop applications, services, which will be deployed, Docker containerization. And how do you do that if Docker does not provide them a platform to develop this application easily? Do they have to set up Docker Kubernetes themselves, or can they have something, a one-click solution, install it and start developing right away? I think this is a key thing which Docker is trying to address with Docker Desktop Enterprise, and they don't have to worry much about they still can choose the way they implement or the technology that they use or language they use. They can develop it right away even using the Docker Desktop Enterprise.
So it's a tool in the hands of developers. On my laptop, what I develop is straight ready for the production.
That's right.
That is fantastic. That is great.
So it's the only Docker development tool or desktop tool that actually supports or certified or enterprise grade support with to roll out an application which production ready.
Fantastic. I'm sure that is it already there or out, or is it still in beta?
They have finalized the beta. They released the beta version and finalizing it, and it should be ready out in the market soon, very soon.
Wow, that will be fantastic.
Definitely, we are all excited, looking forward.
So this brings me back. We little digress to Docker, but my point was about Kubernetes, and that is what I get to hear all the time from the customers. So do you see customers, especially from the enterprise architect point of view, will be only looking at Kubernetes as a layer, important layer, orchestration layer, and how do I manage that and what kind of tools available? It will not be so much about just the containerization story. Is that how you look at it?
I mean, definitely Kubernetes is the main purpose is orchestration for containers. So definitely when you equate container, Kubernetes is always important, and it's a key piece which actually helps you in your daily operation of managing containers and deploying containers.
So in that connection, how are you seeing the journey of customers from, or what would you basically recommend customers to as a starting point in their journey towards containerization?
Typically, a lot of customers are trying to jump into containerization, but I think there are a few key points that they need to think of before they actually go all the way for this journey. I think first thing is they have to look into their current application, whether how is it running and what's the pain point they are facing. So I think a lot of them, they are facing a lot of problem when they do upgrades and rolling new updates and stuff like that, because everything is built as one piece, it's very monolith. So if they are thinking of moving towards microservice kind of application, I think that will be a good start, a good journey for them to start on containerization. And breaking down application into different microservices definitely has a lot of benefit. When you're talking about adding new features, you can do it fast, deploy it fast, or upgrading even the existing features, it can also be done in a smaller chunk of piece so that they can actually deploy it fast rather than ensuring everything. Otherwise, they have to ensure all the features works well with others' application as well.
So you're saying the good start would be to try to break down your monolith application into microservices, so it goes to the re-architecting of application. But that brings me to a question. I saw recently you came back from Mongolia and did a project for a customer where customer had already had microservices, so they had re-architected, and those microservices are running very well on VM, and still customer decided to put them on containers. What was the real benefit? What was the thought behind that?
So even though today the customers actually run their microservices on VM, but in terms of scalability, it's still not there, and the customers also have plans to move out to cloud, and portability has become another issue for them. So this is where Docker or any containerization, as a matter of fact, plays an important role, where you can actually have scalability and portability together, work hand in hand by moving on to containerization. So that's exactly what the customer is doing, and so that they are not locked down with their current platform, but they have the freedom to move whenever they want.
So basically you are saying just cutting down your application, making them on microservices or running them on VM is not end of the road. There are so many more benefits one can get if they move to containerization.
That's right.
So hey viewers, here is your chance to win $25 Amazon voucher. I'm going to ask a question. The question is, in my video, I did mention that recently Prem traveled to a country.
So where did I travel to?
Answer this question, give your answers in the comment section, and stand a chance to win $25 Amazon voucher. You have heard stories from Prem, and we have a team of experts. If you have any questions on Kubernetes, Docker, microservices, containerization, ask our expert. Write your comments to this address, askus@ashnik.com, and our team will be very happy to get in touch with you.